A big wingman welcome to the wingman's path to positivity, to raising your vibration, to creating a life of your choosing. I welcome you and I thank you. And as always, I appreciate you inviting me and all us wingmates in to share a spark of positive energy. Because one thing we know, the more of us that share that spark, the easier it is for each of us to hold on to it and share it with our loved ones and our families and our friends and our neighbors and our communities, and start surrounding ourselves with positive energy. Nothing better than that. Nothing better than that. If you're new to the path, I welcome you and I congratulate you for getting here. This is a path that will help you raise your vibration and help you create a life of your choosing. There's no better way to say it, right? My name is Michael Gross. I'm the lucky guy who gets to be the wingman on the wingman's path today. And let's talk about today's practice. Today's practice, I heard Deepak say something the other day. I was listening to him and I forget exactly the words he used, but what came to my mind was that my reality begins with me. My reality begins with me. And I started thinking about that, and I remember thinking about how when I was down and out, there's a great saying, I think in Christianity, which goes, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a meal, and if you teach him the fish, you feed him forever, right? Well, I remember when I was down and out and beaten up and homeless and living on friends' couches, I didn't want to learn to fish. I just wanted someone to feed me. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to sit there and have someone feed me. I was being irresponsible with my life, and I was allowing my reality to not begin with me. My reality, I started thinking about this the other day. My reality was totally, responsible for something. My reality was totally predicated on someone else feeding me, right? It wasn't until I took the bull by the horns and started realizing that my reality does begin with me. And for me, what I would say on the wingman's path, my reality begins with my vibration. So start getting a better vibration going. Start sending out a better vibration. Start emitting a stronger frequency, a frequency that my reality begins with me. Say it to yourself, because when you say it to yourself, at least when I say it to myself, I start recognizing my power in this game of life, right? My power in this game of life, that the game of life is all about how I want to play it, right? My reality begins with me. Say it to yourself right now. My reality begins with me. This is one of those you can say out loud. My reality begins with me. Or you can breathe it into yourself. My reality begins with me. Start taking responsibility for your life. And when you do, when you state to yourself that your responsibility, that your reality begins with you, and you start taking responsibility for your life, well, you're going to start letting the universe know that you're responsible for your life. And the universe will start sending you back more reasons to feel responsible for your life. Right? My reality begins with me. What does that mean to you? What does that mean you have to start doing? Maybe take a step, maybe if you're looking for a job, you have to start looking harder. You have to really get out there. If you're working, you have to go the extra mile. If you're in a loving relationship, you have to make sure you honor that relationship and you honor your job and you honor your life by recognizing that your reality begins with you. My reality begins with me. I've been saying it since it came into my mind a few days ago. And the more I say it, the more I recognize my responsibility in living and creating a life of my choosing. It's not about anyone else. It's only about me. My reality begins with me. Right? How simple can it be? Say that with me one more time. My reality begins with me. And as you allow that to be your mantra today, at least what I'm going to be doing is saying it over and over, because I find when I say those words, I recognize it's my responsibility of how I want to live my life. When I was homeless and down and out and really dependent on others for how I was living, I slept on friends' couches. I don't know what I was doing, but I was allowing myself to play the victim, and I played it really well. I became the victim, and I let myself stay in that victim mode for far too long because I didn't accept the fact that my reality begins with me. I went back to being an immature child and living from what others were helping me, giving me. And I needed it at the time, but it wasn't that I needed it. It was that I made myself into a victim. Whatever the circumstances were, the situations that put me in that mode, put me in that mentality, put me in that vibration, I didn't take the bull by the horns. I didn't take responsibility for my part in it. I didn't recognize that my reality begins with me. I thought it began with someone else. I thought it began with the situation I was in and the circumstances that I was in. And I was the woe is me, and I was playing the victim really well. I recognize now that my reality begins with me. And I want you to recognize it today too, because when we all get that going, that feeling going, that vibration going, we start taking responsibility for ourselves. We start learning how to fish so we can feed ourselves for the rest of our lives. And we can actually help others instead of needing help ourselves. My reality begins with me. So whatever you have to do today to get your reality moving in the direction of creating a life of your choosing, of getting your reality, the reality you're living, your physical reality, your reality of everyday life. If you want to change it, recognize that it begins with you. And I'm going to recognize that mine begins with me, and I'm going to make sure I take steps to keep what I have going on, because I'm really been fortunate in that I found the Wingman's Path. When I discovered it, maybe I was down and out, but it helped me to start being more positive. It helped me to find the steps of the Wingman's Path. You know, each step was another practice, and each day I would practice, I'd take another step along the path to bringing more positivity and to raising my vibration and to creating a life of my choosing. And this was a big step, recognizing my responsibility in the game of life and in the game of my life, in the reality that I was living. When I recognized my responsibility, I started living life a whole lot better. I hope the same for you. Have a wonderful day today, one in which you recognize that your reality begins with you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Your Wingman Michael from the Wingman's Path to Positivity here in Da Nang, Vietnam, signing off.